Friday. Well, it's Todd here. We're at EV Island, and I think it's time for an Equinox Super update. There's a lot been going on, and I thought I might be able to update you, especially if you have an Equinox. This is an episode that you're going to want to check out. We're also going to look at the ongoing series on my expenses for operating my Equinox EV compared to my old vehicles and a couple of other current vehicles. So we're going to wrap that in here. And we have a warranty update with some work that I've just had done for the Equinox. And I'm also going to be able to give you a mini comparison between my Equinox EV and a Cadillac Lyriq. So if you're interested in Cadillac, if you're interested in Equinox, if you're interested in performance and saving money in your EV, this is the episode for you. Let's go. So first item on the docket, a little update. I've had my Equinox for about 7 months at this point, and things have been going pretty well. I'll be giving you a bit of an update as to the expenses of all that in a little bit later in the video. What I'm going to start with though is that I had a recall on my Equinox. If you have an Equinox, you may be aware of this, but if you're not, if you're looking at potentially buying one, this could be a good piece of information. There was an ongoing issue with water that I think is leaking from the air conditioning condenser, as I recall it. There's a fitting in there that I think it's loose, and you end up with water in the footwell, particularly on the passenger side. So it was something that was, I think, understood, documented by the, someone backing in next to me here. Something that was documented by the Equinox people online, and GM issued a recall for it. So I got a notice of recall and took my Equinox in to have the carpet replaced and the leak fixed about 3 weeks ago. So when I took my Equinox in, the dealership actually gave me a loaner. They had a Lyriq EV, a Cadillac, and I've had the use of that since the last 3 weeks or so. The repair took a little longer than expected. They had pre-ordered the carpet as part of the repair, but when they got the vehicle in, they realized that there was water not just in the passenger side, but also on the driver's side. So that necessitated ordering the carpet for the driver's side as well. It was a documented leak. They had a fix for, I think it was a drainage line that has a tendency to come loose or in some way would leak water back into the cabin. So they of course fixed that and replaced the carpet. It took a couple of weeks to get the driver's side carpet in. So they had the vehicle that time. I had the use of this Cadillac Lyriq, which I thought was a nice vehicle. We'll give you a little bit of an update on that as well. Short version of it is 3 weeks later, my Equinox, although it's not that old, it smells brand new again because I have brand new carpet installed, and hopefully that will resolve that issue. So it wasn't anything that caused me any concern, I guess, or didn't materialize into any issues that I had myself. But something documented, and they wanted to get it fixed under warranty, so that's handled. So good piece of information, good update for owners of Equinox. If you like the report, if you like the island, maybe if you like me, I don't know, hit subscribe, give me some support, tell me how much you like the channel, comment down below. I got a lot of people that like what I'm doing. I got a lot of people that think I'm just, I don't know, lying, I guess, about how much money I'm saving and my experience with my Equinox. That's fine. Tell me your opinion. Drop it in the comments. Look forward to talking to you. I also notified them of the continuing ongoing problem that I've had with my charger door light. I think if you would look back maybe 8 or 9 or 10 or 15 videos ago, I indicated that I had a problem with the charger door where it originally was indicating that it was left open. So I would get a warning in the dash saying that it was left open. Took it in, they replaced it, and shortly afterward, the light inside the door, the one that comes on at night so you can see when you're plugging in, the light wouldn't come on at night. It actually could sometimes if I jiggled the door and pushed it wider open. There were times that I could force it to come on, but by and large, there is something, an ongoing issue, I think, with that charger door, and I think the micro switch that's in the door that basically lets the system know that it's open and tells it that, you know, it can turn the light on. I don't know if they've made any adjustments to that in terms of manufacturing or change, because I had the original problem. I had a problem with the replacement door, and we've replaced it again. So we'll see how that works. I charged it last night, so when I opened the door, the charging door, the light came on, so it's working at this point. So we'll call that fixed. So that's 2 warranty issues that I've had with the vehicle so far. Nothing major. It continues to operate nicely. The car's performing well. Like I really would put an Equinox on a recommend list for anyone that's looking at an EV, especially given the value. It's a relatively value priced, well-featured vehicle. So that's the update on the warranty front. Let's talk about the Lyriq. I was given a Cadillac Lyriq as a replacement vehicle, and it's a nice car. It's Cadillac. A couple things off the top. It's a 500 horsepower car, and I think the Equinox is 300. So the extra power boost is noticeable, and you get accustomed to that pretty easily. Something I would note, though, in the Equinox's favor is the Equinox is, my Equinox is a 2005, and the Cadillac loaner I was given was 2003. So there may be some differences in comparative years there, so comparing a 2023 to a 2025. But I will say that I do like the controls and the dash and the screens on the Equinox a lot more than the Lyriq. Just little things. There was no audio control on the back side of the steering wheel on the Cadillac. The audio control is in the front. I found myself reaching for that a number of times. There's also a start button on the Cadillac, so you have to hit the start button and then put it in gear. Where in the Equinox, you basically just get in and put it in gear, and it triggers both actions at the same time. The issue with the start button is quite often I would forget to stop the car, because you also have to stop the car with the button. And of course that powers down the dash and the air conditioning and all that kind of stuff. So that little difference there. I did find the HVAC underwhelming in the Cadillac. I know there's been a lot of discussion online about the heating and ventilating and air conditioning in the Equinox, which I've found actually to work pretty well. Other people have found that maybe the heating part of it doesn't heat up at times, or seems a bit random at times. I'm chalking those differences up to a recommendation that with an HVAC system, with a heat pump, you really should set the temperature and leave it. And I think some people are playing with it up and down, and that's just not how a heat pump works. Having said that, I couldn't get a volume of air to be, to kind of come out of the vents, really. And I tried different settings and manually forced it to go to the window vent or the floor vent. It just didn't seem to have the heating power or the cooling power that the Equinox has, and I found it to be a bit of a mystery. The controls just didn't seem to. I wasn't able to get a volume of air to come out of the main dash vent as opposed to the floor or the windshield vent. I could get some to come out, but I definitely think that the Equinox blows a lot more air than the Cadillac does. Small thing, but from an operational point of view, it makes a difference if you're comfortable, obviously. Cadillac's a lovely car. It's a model up from, or at least size-wise, a model up from the Equinox. So it's larger, it's more substantial. If I had one thing I could take from the Cadillac, would be the seats. Seats were palatial. They weren't fancy, but they were supportive. They were large. They were cushiony. Ideally, if I could take the seats from the Lyriq and put them in the Equinox, I'd be very happy. Power-wise, the extra power was nice. But I do find the 300 horsepower in the Equinox to be more than sufficient. One other convenience feature that I really liked, and it's a plus for the Cadillac and a negative on the Equinox side, because I've always disliked the rear tailgate release button location. It's a little rubberized button that sits on the underside of the tailgate. and it's a pain to get to. You don't know if you're hunting for it sometimes. It's got a squishy feel, so sometimes you press it and it doesn't activate. It was definitely not on my favorite feature list for the Equinox. But the Cadillac, it uses the Chevy emblem on the tailgate as the button that releases it. Found that fabulous. It's a simple thing. You've got something in your hands and you can just kind of bump that little button, the logo, with your elbow or your hand, and the latch, the lift opens up. Little things make a difference. Since we're talking about the rear tailgate, I found the lack of a windshield wiper on the Cadillac to be a bit of a miss. It didn't seem to collect debris from the road the way that the Equinox does. Aerodynamics are probably a bit different, but there is no rear wiper on the rear of the Cadillac. The Equinox, of course, has a rear wiper, and it has the squirty device that cleans the lens. Cadillac, if it has a squirty device, I couldn't figure out how to operate it. It's not there. So yeah, Cadillac Lyrique, power-wise, A+, comfort, A+, dash layout, software, probably a step below where I am with the Equinox right now. The rear hatch, a big win for the rear hatch and the Chevy emblem as the activation for opening the hatch. Chevy, if you're listening, GM, if you're listening, install that. You don't have to make them fancy. You don't have to make them watch where you're going or look for your foot to wiggle or be telepathically linked to your key fob. Put the button on your logo. It's a winner. It's really easy to use, and I found that probably one of the nicest features. So Lyriq, nice car. I think that from what I'm told or looking in the marketplace, there's a lot of great deals happening on the Cadillac levels of EVs. A lot of discounts and some pretty good pricing there. Yeah, thumbs up. Like the Lyriq. I like my dash better. And you can't go wrong with 500 horsepower. So the last little piece of my Equinoxapalooza, is that a word? Equinoxapalooza? My May performance report. So I'm going to make this quick. I've got 6 previous videos cataloging my monthly results and my fuel consumption / non-consumption in my Equinox EV, comparing it to a gas-powered Equinox, a gas-powered Chevy Blazer, and my old Ram 1500, because that's kind of where I came from. So quick review for May. And keep in mind here that I actually, through May, switched vehicles between my Equinox and the Cadillac. So half the month I basically had the Equinox, and half the month I basically had the Cadillac. But I've kept track of the mileage on both, and of course my charging was my charging, so I've been going off the dollar figure and the kilowatt figure that's coming off my home charger. So there might be a little bit of variability for switching between vehicles. There definitely is a performance and consumption difference, but I have to keep the process. So I'm just going to assume that the Cadillac and the Equinox are close enough in consumption to give me a valid result. And we're really looking at this is not NASA level grade scientific research here. We're giving our practical seat of the pants in the driver's seat comparison of experiences and costs. So the recap for May is that I drove a fair bit, 3,208 kilometers, and gas was pricey, $1.95. It actually got up to about $1.98, $1.98.9 for a while. It did settle down towards the end of the month. I'm booking it at $1.95. May 2026. We all know what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz. No mystery. So with 3,208 kilometers, I charged $113 at home, $56 on the road. Took a trip to Halifax, and for a total last month of $170 and 62 cents in electricity. So the big numbers, if I was to drive the 3,208 kilometers in an ICE version of the Equinox, would have cost me $597. I therefore saved $426, and my grand total for November to May is I have saved the equivalent of, or saved, probably more than this, but saved $1,447.68. So that's money that I haven't put into a vehicle in terms of gas. Now, I was driving a Ram 1500, that's painful. That was painful. If I drove the 3,200 kilometers in my Ram 1500 at $1.95, would have cost me $1,052 in fuel for the month of May. $1,052. Like those are the kind of numbers that got me into an EV, because I had that scenario happen back in September with my daughter moving to Halifax. I spent $1,000 on gas that month, and I said, this is insane. So I'm looking at another insane month had I been driving a V8 4x4. So I saved $881, and so far, catch this, so far, 7 months in, I have saved $3,538.57. $3,500 in 7 months. Now, granted, it's a truck, not mid-size SUV, but the money is real. If had I been driving another mid-size SUV, the Equinox Ice, $1,400 in my pocket, and I'm sorry, the Equinox Ice is not the same car as an Equinox EV. Half the horsepower, it's smaller vehicle, it's not the same car. And given that, the equivalent, I'm calling it equivalent ICE-powered Blazer, if I had been driving the ICE-powered Blazer, I would have spent $742 in gas in May, total of $2,115 over the 7 months saved. So my little experiment, I think for documentation purposes, it's working out. I'm liking to see the differences each month. Obviously, the price of gas has escalated the issue, the problems, and it's escalating the issue for everyone else in this parking lot. Pretty much. There's a few other EVs that work at the university here with me. But you can see that the savings are pretty significant.